Positive Anime Reviews is a review show that is designed for people who aren't very picky about their anime, like me. Most anime I watch ends up in my 5 out of 5 category. My reviews are for those people who are looking for a reason to watch anime rather than hate on it. I am willing to give any and all anime a chance before stating my opinion. Lastly, my reviews are all my opinion and might and or most likely won't match yours. If you don't agree, that's totally fine. Just be respectful in the comment section. Thank you. And as always, there is a spoiler section ahead, but don't worry, I'll warn you first. Hey guys, Darth Glork here, back with another positive anime review. Today we will be talking about, I'm not really sure how to pronounce this first word. It's like spelled Arifureta. I don't know how to pronounce that, but the rest of the English of it is From Commonplace to World's Strongest. So the Japanese name will be in the description, and of course the title you're reading in the video will be normal because I can spell it. I just can't pronounce it, especially with my stutter and good frickin' luck. Anyway, so that's the anime we are talking about. Now, before we hop into the review for today, couple of announcements, some channel business to take care of, if you will. So, first of all, Happy New Year. It is officially 2020. It's all hindsight from here, am I right, team? Sorry. Anyway, happy 2020. Here is to hoping that 2020 is great and better than 2019 was. And very, very excited for a new channel year of 2020. New content to come. Very excited. And I've been having a blast so far. Let's keep the ball rolling. Anyway, so that's the first thing. Second thing is today's uploads are, I have no idea what's happening. So obviously today is New Year's Day. My family has some things that they are doing, and I don't know what's happening. So today's uploads are weird, and I have no idea what's happening. However, I am recording this because I had the time for a positive anime review. I hope I have time to record like just regular content for today. I lean towards probably not, but I wish that was the case. So we'll just have to see. These last 2 weeks have been murder for content, and I am sorry about that, but it is the holidays, so at least to some degree it's normal. It's just a pity for me because I prefer to record. So anyway, so I wish that I had more time, and if we're really dreaming, I would have more time. But regardless, going forward, we'll have more time. Things will get back to normal, and we can get back to our normal recording schedule. Anyway, so there's that. The last bit of business before we hop into this one is this will be my first positive anime review with all of the new art. So you'll see a new scorecard when that comes up in our score, and then you'll see a new the intro you've seen was new, and so that's really exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed the new intro, and going forward, you'll see the new scorecards, and I am happy with the way they came out too. So very, very new, cool stuff all around. Anyway, so let's hop into this one. So, of course, like I said, this is the anime we're reviewing with the name I cannot pronounce. Now, when did this anime air? This is actually a very recent anime. This is from, comparatively, this is from summer of 2019. So yeah, this is from summer of 2019. So it is a much more new anime by comparison. Yeah. So is there a dub? I believe there is a dub. I did not watch it, so I can't. If there is, so I can't tell you. But I believe there is a dub because it's licensed by Funimation, and anything licensed by Funimation most of the time has a dub. So yeah, I mean, at least based upon what I've noticed, but I don't watch dub, so I don't really look that closely, to be honest. Anyway, so I can't tell you if it's good or not. But anyway, let's go ahead and hop right into the synopsis, as is tradition. Anyway, the ordinary life of 17-year-old otaku Hajime Nagumo is disrupted when he and his classmates are summoned to a fantasy world and tasked with saving mankind. While his classmates are gifted with impressive abilities useful in combat, Hajime is belittled for only gaining an inferior transmutation skill that lacks any real offensive power. During an expedition to the Great Orcus Labyrinth, Hajime is betrayed by one of his classmates, plummeting him into the bottom of an abyss. Though he survives the fall, Hajime is faced with menacing monsters and misfortunes that send him spiraling into a grim nightmare. Desperate to live and return home one day, he resolves to fight for his survival, only to be met an imprisoned vampire he names Yue, who is also seeking to escape the labyrinth. Taking an interest in him, Yue and a few others along the way accompany Hajime on his journey to find a way back home, while steadily transforming from commonplace to the world's strongest. So there you go. To me, already an interesting little synopsis. So in case you haven't picked up on this, this is a isekai. I mean, kinda. It's pretty much an isekai. So if that type of thing, whatever, is like the bane of your existence, I suggest leaving because I don't mind it. But so I know some people that do, and it's like this weird stigma about isekai anime. But it's one of my favorite genres so far, as of recently. So anyway, I guess I'm in the minority there. Or at least the quieter majority. It's hard to say. Anyway, moving on into rating. How clean or dirty is the anime? I give it a solid PG-13, probably. Mostly, there's not like anything too insane. There's nothing like overly graphic, but it does cover some mature topics. Even like enough so all the adults and older teenagers would know what's happening, even if younger audiences might not get it. But anyway, it's not graphic, but you do understand people die. There is basic nudity, but without you actually seeing anything type of deal. So yeah, there is. So I would give it probably a solid PG-13. So nothing too crazy there. Now, similar anime, obviously a lot of isekai anime kind of have similar veins in some way. But this one did feel a little bit different, and we'll get into why a little bit later. But this one felt a little bit different. But it is isekai anime, and there's lots of similar anime. Now, of course, genre. What genre is it? Isekai, action, adventure, fantasy, and harem. So yes, also it's a harem anime. So again, if that type of thing is a giant, is a giant, black mark on your anime list, then sorry. But again, I like harem anime, so here we are. So moving on into season length. How long is the season? So far, there is one season out at 13 episodes. The episode length is exactly what you would assume at 23 minutes. Now, from what I've seen, there is a second season confirmed, but we don't have a release date, and we don't know anything about it. But it is listed that there is a second season. So to my understanding, there is a second season official, to my understanding, but it's not out yet. But even without it, this was self-contained enough that it feels fine. But anyway. And so far, there is only one season out. Now, and then we reach the character list. So, our character list, there is quite a few characters, but only a group that the anime is focused on, and only a few that you're going to kind of get to know. So it's pretty low-key character list. It's nothing unusual. So of course, let's hit the first one on the list first. We have Hajime Nagumo. So Hajime is of course the main character, the alpha main character, and he is one of the few males in the series. Again, no surprise there. Come on, it's a harem anime. Anyway, sorry, I'm trying not to sniff on mic, whatever. Anyway, so of course he is one of the only guys in the anime and the only guy we care about, so, whatever. So Hajime in appearance, he varies. At first, and I'm assuming picture-wise, it's only going to show his cool, badass picture, but it might not, I guess. It might not, I suppose, but I'm assuming it is showing... The pictures I can find are his really cool ones. So I'm just going to describe his cool picture. So his cool picture, he is probably wearing an eye patch. He has the metal arm. He has like white hair. He looks like he could kill you, and he totally would. Anyway. So that's him. That's Hajime. So in personality, his story is pretty interesting. That I was getting some serious... I'm trying to think how to describe this without getting into spoilers. It's not really a spoiler. Okay, so it was giving me some serious SAO vibes in the first little bit, based upon what happens, and suddenly you're trapped in the situation, and it's way worse than it was a minute ago, and like the life or death, and then in vibe, it really gave me some SAO vibes, and obviously SAO was a solid 6 out of 5 for me. All of them were. And especially season 1. And season 1 is what it really reminded me of. And so immediately that had me hooked. And so at first, Hajime has black hair, and he doesn't really have that great abilities. Now deep down, you can tell he's a good person. his first appearance, and you'll see why his appearance has changed once if you watch the anime. But his first appearance, he's very normal. He's very normal, kind of maybe weak looking. Maybe he gives you that weak vibe. But then later he is anything but weak, and he is an absolute, he's an absolute unit to say the least. So personality later, after his transformation, he's way different. Not only in appearance, but personality. It's very similar in some ways, but a lot of him had to change based upon events that happened in the anime. A lot of him had to turn really hardened, and I really digged his differences. I think we'll have to cover a lot of the specifics. Maybe we might have to talk about it in the spoiler section, but basically Hajime has this rule of no mercy to his enemies post-transformation. And I'm not going to tell you what the transformation is and what it all means and how it happened. You'll have to watch the anime for that. But post-transformation, he has this rule of no mercy to his enemies. And honestly, I really liked that. Because too many times in too many anime, you have the main character and he tries to be edgy and he tries to be hardcore, but ultimately he ends up doing the exact same thing the Boy Scout main character good guy would have done. He does the same things, he just did it like less happily. You know what I mean? So there is a definite difference, and that difference was, and I liked that, and I have historically, I always liked the villain more. I've always been that way. I've always liked villains more than heroes. That's just how I'm wired. However, if I'm gonna make a good guy character, or let's say if we're talking about mine, if I'm gonna make a good guy character, he's gonna be one that shows no mercy to his enemies and he's super kind to his friends. That's how I have written some characters that I have made for a book that I'm writing. Anyway, so if you're gonna be a good guy, that doesn't mean you have to be a Boy Scout. I liked the idea of a good guy that would not be afraid to shed some blood, that shows no mercy, because the villain is gonna do the same thing to you, and so the only one the only one that's really screwed by you acting all super nice is the villain that's better for him because he knows you're not going to kill him. So having Hajime being hardcore was really cool, and I loved it. And I also really liked there's these points where it's pointed out lots of times how he doesn't really have any mercy, and it's kind of one of the bigger points of the last half of the anime especially, but even the first half too, and it's in a slightly different way. It was, yeah, and it even then, even in the first half of the anime in a slightly different way, it's pointed out that he doesn't have mercy, and I was digging it. I was all about it. And it was a cool driving point of one of the plot points, and it was awesome. And so that's basically Hajime. He's super cool to his friends and people on his side. He has this like rough and tough way of basically like taking care of people and everything without saying it like out loud and just being super, I don't know what the word is, like weak or soft or whatever. He has this tough way of taking care of people in his circle. He has no mercy for his enemies, and if you're not in his circle, he really doesn't care about you. And I loved that to death, because that is very much, if you're going to be a good guy, that's the type of good guy you should be. So I loved that immensely. And then he loves another main character that we'll talk about when we get to her. Their relationship is amazing, but we'll talk about it a little more deeply when we get to her. So the next one on the list, the site that I'm watching lists this girl as a main character. I'm going to open it to double check the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so I don't know. I'm really hesitant to even cover her. You know what? We're not gonna cover her. It lists her as a main character. I disagree. So we're not gonna list her as a main character. I feel like she's maybe an important supporting character, maybe. And then maybe later on she's a main character. Maybe second season she'll be super prevalent. I'm willing to bet she will be based on events that happen at the end of the first season. But we're not gonna cover her in this one because she doesn't feel as important to me. But as a tiny quick synopsis, there's this girl named, I cannot pronounce this name. It's Kaori. So it's like Kaori? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm slaughtering it. Anyway, so basically she was a part of Hajime's group of friends pre-transformation. he had a crush on her, and she was ultimately a good person. Things happen. Lots of plot. Ultimately, she just felt like a road bump in the way to real relationship, so I really didn't care. I was very neutral on her, didn't care at all. I didn't care at all for her or anything about her. So there you go. And so that's her. We're not really going to cover her. So moving on to the next real main character, one of my favorites is Yue. So Yue is this adorable little blonde vampire, and no doubt you are seeing pictures of her because she is going to be one of the most important main characters in the show. Now, Yue is awesome. So in personality, Yue is really loving and really caring to her circle. Now, most of all, it's very obvious, and it doesn't take long for it to be obvious, that she is super devoted to Hajime after they meet. And by the way, the way they meet is super cool, and super cool, and I love their relationship. That Yue is very similar to Hajime in the fact that she doesn't have mercy for her enemies, and it's another major plot point. And again, I was all about it. Because these guys, this whole little ragtag band here, they're kind of like I believe it's called an anti-hero. Hang on, I'm just gonna type this in to make sure I'm not insane. Define anti-hero. Essential character in a story who lacks conventional heroic attributes. Okay, so yeah, so I guess they are kind of, so this whole ragtag band of our little group here, they have a very strong anti-hero like theme going on, kind of an anti-hero feel, and so that maybe leaning good guy, but ultimately very anti-hero, and I enjoyed that. It was really fun. Now Yue is Hajime's favorite girl. She's the only girl in the anime. He just says it straight out. He has feelings for her. He's like, I love you. I love Yue. I have feelings for her. And it's no surprise to anybody. Everyone knows that. But it was cool that if any girl he was going to confirm, the only one he confirmed was Yue. And their relationship is awesome. She's very similar to personality, no mercy. And obviously of everyone, she's most devoted to him. Especially with things that happen to them, which you'll have to watch the anime to see. With everything that happens to them and with all of the development and plot and stuff, it makes sense, and I love the fact that they were super close. I love that she was his most important girl. She was mine as well, and she's the waifu we all need. So that's basically Yue. Obviously vampire, and I just dig that just in principle because vampires are awesome. Anyway, so moving on to our next main character, this one is, we'll have to talk about her, she's kind of interesting, is Shia. So Shia is the little bunny girl that no doubt hopefully you're finding some pictures of. So Shia is the little cute bunny girl. So Shia, admittedly, at first, she kind of struck me as annoying. Honestly, that at first I'm like, oh, here it starts. We have to come up with fake competition for Hajime, so that way it's not simple and easy. So 100%, I was like, ugh. But honestly, she actually does grow on you. That she grows on you, and after it doesn't take too long before you're like, you know what, I kind of like her. And so it was so well done to the writers, because that's not easy. It's hard to make someone go from she's kind of annoying to wow, I really like her. So, but it did work out. And Shia is far less annoying than she was at first. So I would implore you to give it time that she'll probably grow on you. So Shia in personality. Shia is very, I don't know what the word is, peppy and happy, like, you know what I mean? She's very excitable, probably just as excitable and happy as her picture no doubt looks. That's probably how she is pretty much the entire time. Now, that's not to say that's not all there is to her. She does have more underneath that, which is one of the reasons that she grows on you, is she's not as one-dimensional as she might appear. And that was refreshing, because sometimes that's not the case. They are as one-dimensional as they appeared, but in this case, that's not true, and I am happy to hear it. So Shia, much like the rest of these groups, she's looking for a place that she belongs. Ultimately, she has like these powers, and she has the potential to be very strong. But she stands out, and she's not used to having like people, and she has these unique powers and stuff, and she feels like an alien and a monster among people, and so she finds this group, Hajime and Yue and everyone else, and she finds a place that she belongs, and she does fit in, and it's nice. And it's nice that she finds this place, and she really does grow on you, and so she shares their similar attributes. That basically, if Hajime says jump, she says how high. That lots of times it comes to Hajime and his little team insert themselves into some crazy situation, and Hajime says, Shia, go kill that dude, and she runs off and does it without even saying anything, just okay, or whatever. And so it was cool because, again, I am all about these guys, their attitude of us versus the world, and I loved the attitude. And so the common theme, despite everyone's different backgrounds, was interesting. And Shia really grows on you, so I would invite you to give it time. She's not as annoying or one-dimensional as she appears. Anyway, moving on to our next and final main character is Tio. So Tio is the super attractive girl in a kimono, I believe is what that's called. She has like really dark. She has darker hair. I'll label it. I'll label it. Anyway, so that's Tio. So Tio is interesting. So Tio is actually a dragon, and that when you first meet her, she's a dragon, and she can morph back and forth to human form and not human form. But regardless, Tio is a dragon. She is not only incredibly attractive, however, she's different. Every harem anime needs a character that it's I don't know. Not all of them have a pervert character, but Tio fits that archetype. She's right there, but Tio is your above average pervert because she is a masochist as well. I believe, isn't masochist the one that yay, pain or whatever? Or is masochist the one that gives off pain? Hang on, again, let's just do some some defining really quick. From one's own pain. So she is a masochist with a capital M. Because Hajime kind of treats her like garbage, not like in a malicious way, but in like a, oh my gosh, you were so overly perverted type of way. And she's all about it because, again, masochism, humiliation, and she's all about it. Now, personality-wise, I was already like, well, that's different because of how aggressive her perversion is. But honestly, she grows on you too. Just like with everyone else, you realize that there is more going on underneath. For her, she decides to stick with them because she thinks Hajime's hot, and that's actually the same reason that she sticks around mainly, is because she thinks Hajime's hot too. But Tio she sees Hajime as her master because he was the one that beat her in combat, and in a really interesting way that I'm not going to get into, and watch the anime, you'll see. And so she calls Hajime her master, and again, I was all about that. I was all on board for the whole master servant thing. That's one of my favorite little, I don't know, relationships there is. I don't know why I'm broken. It says a lot about me. But whatever. The point is that Tio grows on you. That she does have more going on underneath. She was a little more of a kind of a quiet, like, main character, if that makes sense. She was there, but other than her little, I don't know, yay, humiliation and pain scenes. Other than that she does have these other moments where Hajime says, you do this, and she's just like, yes, master, or whatever, and runs off and does it, but she's still supporting. She's still all about, look, you say kill him, I'll kill them all, or whatever. And again, I'm all about this little team versus the world. But Tio didn't have this overly over-the-top personality other than the whole masochism thing. Other than that, she didn't have any real over-the-top personality, and she was just kind of this quiet, I don't know, supporting character that was just ready to do whatever needed to be done. And I was all about it. Now, again, her defining trait is the whole masochism thing. And I was okay with it. It was a little one-dimensional at first. At first, I'm like, there's literally nothing else going on. But it didn't take long before you realize there is something else. And once you did, it was pretty cool, seeing her around. And again, I love the whole master-servant thing. Always have. But anyway, and that's really the list of main characters. There is one tiny little character here that we meet closer to the end, and her name is Miu. It's Myuu. She is adorable. She's this little mermaid, like mer girl. I forget what they call her, but she's adorable. She's one of the other like monster types, like the rest of these people are, except for Hajime. I mean, at first, whatever. Anyway, so she's adorable. She is a little girl. She calls Hajime Papa, and it's funny because at first he's like, no, ew, stop it. But then it takes no long at all. It doesn't take long at all before he immediately adopts her basically, and he's all about it, and he's incredibly defensive. And she's fun. She's cute. She's the only little girl you're probably seeing if you're seeing her at all, and. She was fun. She added a lot of innocence to their hardcore team of killers, and that was fun. I mean, again, it's kind of predictable, but I didn't mind it. I really didn't mind it. This group's unique. I don't know. They just kind of felt a little bit different, and I can't really explain why, but they just kind of felt a little bit different. And maybe the sole difference, maybe it's literally only because of their lack of compassion towards other people, or because they were kind of an anti-hero group. They weren't Boy Scouts and stuff. But I loved it. I loved how brutal they were. I loved how Hajime just did not give a darn about anyone but him and his group, and I loved that because that's how I write any characters I've ever made, most of them, because that's how I think, that's how I am, and I liked that in my entertainment and anime and gaming and stuff. I've always been about that, and so seeing these guys be us versus the world and have them tell it like it is was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed their unique dynamic. So, moving on to our favorite / most hated characters. My favorite character is probably Yue and Hajime. Obviously, the main two. This whole group we've covered, other than it lists Miu as a side character. And I guess that's kind of true. Maybe just because we meet her so close to the end. I don't know. Regardless, I really liked Yue and Hajime because they were the first two that we were really about, that we really got to know. And they were the first two, and it really felt like it was like those two were the OG team. They were what it was really about, and everybody else was good, but white noise, you know. And so I was all about those two, and I loved the lots of special scenes that they got. However, I also loved the later on, when it's a little more rare, I love the special scenes that they were given to prove that Yue and Hajime, they know that they're all about each other. They know that they love each other. They said as much, and so it was like my OTP was official, and I loved it. And I was okay with that. So, moving on to animation and music. So, music, honestly, pretty forgettable. The music didn't have a lot going on. The opening and closing theme, they fit just fine. The overall feel of the anime, but really in anime, there's not really any, I don't know, like jaw-dropping music scenes, you know what I mean? There wasn't these really crazy epic moments where the music just dropped and you felt it. This isn't Lord of the Rings, okay? Like, the music did its job, I suppose, but it was nothing special. Animation-wise, it is really pretty. It is really pretty to look at. The combat was really fun. Seeing Hajime and the rest of the team just kick butt and take names was a lot of fun. The animation was on point, and of course, that is always super fun to see. So, moving on to final rating and recommendation, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5. Very good. This anime made no mistakes worth noting and is definitely worth a buy. So, first of all, do you like my brand new scorecard? It's pretty cool, huh? Anyway, recommendation. I absolutely recommend you watch it. The other thing I recommend is do not look at reviews online for this anime. For some reason, So I use the site myanimelist.com to read all these, get all my information. It's just convenient. And one of the things this site does is it adds reviews, so people can drop their reviews. Okay, well, these people, they think themselves to be whatever, like, I don't know, philosophers and English majors and like just the gifts to humanity, but they're morons, okay? Because they always write these super scaling reviews of ripping an anime to shreds. The amount of positive reviews versus negative ones is astounding, and so the amount of negativity on this site is disgusting. So my advice to you, and I've mentioned this before because every time I think about it and it starts pissing me off, I can't help but mention it, but my advice to you: find a reviewer that rates anime that you know you like with scores that you know you would agree with. Find several. Once you do that, then start trusting that reviewer, okay? Because start trusting that reviewer, and then watch him or her. because once you find someone that agrees with you, then you can get a trusted opinion whether or not an anime is good. But don't be like, I wonder if this is good, and then you scroll down and read this and you realize, wow, these people are so negative, and I'm not about it. Well, me too, because I am not about that negativity. So every review I glanced at briefly, and I really should stop doing that, ripped this anime to shreds and said, it's garbage, it's garbage, it's garbage. Well, ignore it. It's not garbage. It got a 5 out of 5 for me. The only thing I will say is, honestly, at first, it was on track for a 4 out of 5. There was this part where basically, and I'm not going to reveal specifics, so it's not a spoiler, where at first, with everything that happens, lots of plot happens, you kind of get the feeling that Hajime is not going to be a villain, not out to get the world, but he's going to be even more anti-hero than he is, kind of leaning villain, because of things that happen, and that Yue is right there with him. But then some plot happens, and he takes a less evil route. He takes a good guy-esque route. And honestly, at first, it was pretty disappointing. I was like, please, don't be predictable. After the hope you built up, don't suddenly start being the good guy that we all didn't expect, because don't do that. And honestly, it was on track for a 4 out of 5 because of it. But then after several episodes passed, and some choices he made were different from what I expected, and the change made it a little easier to swallow. And then the rest of the episodes, they changed it, and then he kind of came back to what I liked him a little more. And so the anime pulled it back in the last half of the season after what I saw, and so because of it, it earned its place back at a 5 out of 5, and so kudos for that. But anyway, my advice: if you like harem anime, I suppose you could, if you're just super about it, check it out. If you're an isekai person, check it out. If you like anti-heroes or villains, and you want characters that are not your super stereotypical Boy Scout Superman good guy, check this out, because that by itself will be super fun. If you loved SAO and the danger, especially season 1, I would encourage you to check it out too, because I was getting some similar vibes with them being in this labyrinth and stuff, and it was awesome. The only thing I will say, a disclaimer, it's not enough to affect its score, and it's not a spoiler, by the way. The synopsis makes it sound like there's all of this pre-information, like, about the anime, because when you read it, it's like the ordinary life of 17-year-old otaku Hajime is disrupted when his classmates are summoned to a fantasy world and tasked with saving mankind. Okay, so that makes it sound like you got to know these people before, and then they're dumped here. That's not how it is. The show starts with them in the labyrinth, and you're just suddenly thrust in here. There is no pre-information. You only know that. There's a few lines they drop that just hints enough that you know basically that these people don't come from this fantasy world. Like, they just drop enough basic hints to give you just enough context clues, to give you enough clues, but there was no all this pre-information. So honestly, it was a tad startling at first. I was worried I missed an episode or something. So that it's a tad startling, but don't worry, there's nothing that you're not missing anything. You were absolutely all the way there the whole time. It's just the synopsis kind of lies a little bit. It pretends like you have all these pre-information when you really didn't. And so yeah, I would just warn you of that, so you didn't feel like I had lied to you or anything. So anyway, that's just a little disclaimer. So there isn't going to be a spoiler section with this one, which is pretty normal, honestly, whenever I do a positive anime review and not a not so positive anime review. Honestly, the score rarely gets a spoiler. And at first I was going to give a spoiler for some things, but then I kind of found a non-spoiler way to talk about it. And, anyway, and so I found a not spoiler way to talk about it, and so yeah. Anyway, and so ultimately it was good. It was good. I recommend you check it out, and I had a good time with it, and I recommend it. And so that is that's it for this one. We did it, everyone. Did you like my new intro? Did you like the new scorecard? I am really digging them, and as more reviews come out, you guys will be able to see, what's going down. So that'll be really cool. So most likely this will be the only video going out today. I wish I was going to do Skyrim, but some things came up, and now suddenly I'm not doing that. So anyway, so tomorrow, for the love of God, I hope that my videos are normal, because that's the thing. I love the holiday season. I mean, I do. I'm not a Scrooge, okay? I'm not the Grinch. I love the holiday season, but I've kind of gotten labeled in my family as the guy that has nothing to do, despite the fact that I work my butt off to make sure I have things to do. And so now that I'm labeled the guy with literally nothing but time, which I don't know how I got that title. Now suddenly they're just like, hey, you want to just do this? Hey, you look free. You want to do this? I'm like, I actually wasn't free, but I guess, and so I have that, I don't know, that title now, and it's kind of exhausting because I have things I like to do. I like to keep on top of my recording schedule and whatnot. But so the holiday season has been brutal for recordings for me. And so I am very sorry about that. I am praying tomorrow we can be on track. The world gets back to the, humdrum, boring life of regular work days. And when that happens, I can hop on back recording. So hoping tomorrow will be normal. I mean, from everything I can see, it will be, because there's nothing special about, January 2nd of 2020. So here's hoping. And I think that's everything. Anyway, that is going to call for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and we will talk to you guys later.